Every night, she left for my brother's house, claiming it was poker night. But when I finally uncovered the truth, the real game had nothing to do with cards. My name is Daniel Carter. I'm 34 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas, with my wife, Emma. We've been married for 8 years, and for the most part, I thought we had a solid relationship. I work as a software engineer for a mid-sized tech firm, and Emma is a freelance graphic designer. Life had been stable, maybe a little too routine, but I never thought I had any real reason to worry. That was until she started spending every night at my brother's house. Jake, my older brother, is 35 and has always been the charismatic one. Growing up, he was the kind of guy everyone wanted to be around, athletic, charming, the life of every party. I was quieter, more reserved, more focused on my studies than on making friends. Despite our differences, we remained close into adulthood. Jake never settled down, bouncing from one girlfriend to another, but he had always been there for me when I needed him. At least, that's what I believed. Everything started a few months ago. One night, as Emma and I were finishing dinner, she casually mentioned that Jake had invited her to a poker night at his place. "I thought you didn't like poker?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. She shrugged, sipping her wine. "I don't, really. But Jake said it's just for fun, and I figured why not? It's something different." It was a little odd, but I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe she just wanted a break from our usual routine. I told her to have fun and spent the night watching TV alone. The next morning, I asked her how the game went. "It was good," she said, a little too quickly. "I lost a bunch of fake money, so I guess I suck at it." I laughed, but something about her response nagged at me. If she wasn't into poker, why would she want to play again? But then it became a habit. At first, she'd go once or twice a week. Then it became every other night. And eventually, every single night. She'd get dressed up, nothing too obvious, but nicer than usual for a casual game night. She'd spray on perfume, fix her hair, and leave with an excited energy that she never seemed to have when we spent evenings together. That's when the first seed of doubt planted itself in my mind. One night, as she was getting ready to leave, I decided to ask more questions. "So who all usually plays?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She hesitated for a second before replying. "Oh, just Jake and some of his friends." "You don't know them?" I nodded slowly. "Anyone I might have met before?" "No, I don't think so," she said, glancing at her phone before grabbing her purse. "Why? You want to come?" I considered it, but something about the way she asked made me feel like I'd be intruding on something I wasn't meant to see. "Nah, just curious," I said, forcing a smile. She kissed me on the cheek and left. That night, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in my gut. Emma had never shown any interest in poker before, and now she was obsessed with it? Something wasn't adding up. I decided to check her phone while she was in the shower the next morning. It wasn't something I'd ever done before, but I needed reassurance. When I opened her messages with Jake, they were completely normal. Too normal. Almost like a script of polite, casual conversation. "Hey, I'll be there at 8. Sounds good. See you then. Thanks for the game. It was fun. Yeah, you did great tonight." There was no mention of the other friends she claimed to be playing with. No inside jokes. No details about the actual games. Just vague, almost mechanical exchanges. I put her phone back where I found it, but the unease remained. A few nights later, I was having lunch with a coworker, Eric, who happened to live near Jake. "So, how's Jake doing these days?" Eric asked as we ate. "He's good," I said, stirring my coffee. "He's been hosting a lot of poker nights lately." Eric frowned. "Poker nights? That's weird. I live 2 streets down, and I've never seen any extra cars at his place." My stomach dropped. "Maybe they all carpool," I suggested, my voice forced and tight. Eric shrugged. "Maybe. Just seems strange. Every time I walk my dog past his house at night, it's dark except for his living room light." A nervous chuckle escaped me. "Yeah, weird. When I got home that night, I watched Emma get ready, slipping into a pair of jeans that fit her perfectly, her top slightly lower cut than usual. "Are you winning yet?" I joked, trying to sound normal. She smiled. "Not even close." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the doubts were eating me alive. That night, after she left, I grabbed my keys and decided to follow her. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. The engine hummed beneath me, the air conditioning blasting cool air that did nothing to calm the heat building in my chest. Emma had left our driveway 20 minutes ago, taking the familiar route to Jake's house. I had never followed her before, but tonight, I needed answers. I kept a safe distance as I tailed her down the quiet streets of our Austin neighborhood. The traffic was light, and the closer we got to Jake's house, the more my stomach twisted into knots. Was I really doing this? Was I about to catch my wife in something I wasn't prepared to handle? When she pulled into Jake's driveway, I parked a block away, cutting my headlights. I watched as she stepped out of the car, adjusting her shirt before heading to the front door. Jake opened it before she even knocked. He was smiling. Something about that smile made my blood run cold. It wasn't the kind of smile you gave your brother's wife. She stepped inside, and the door shut behind her. I sat there for another 10 minutes, debating my next move. I could storm in, demand an explanation, put an end to the nagging doubts that had been eating at me for weeks. But I knew that if I did that, they would have excuses. They would lie. No, I needed proof. I stepped out of my car and walked toward the house, staying in the shadows of the trees lining the sidewalk. The blinds in Jake's living room were drawn, but a small gap allowed me to peek inside. What I saw made my breath hitch. There was no poker game. The dining table was empty, no cards, no chips, no beer bottles, just 2 glasses of wine sitting next to each other. Jake and Emma were in the kitchen, standing too close. She was laughing at something he said, her hand resting on his arm in a way that felt too familiar. I backed away before I could see more. I didn't want to witness whatever was about to happen next. My head was spinning as I walked back to my car. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. My wife wasn't at a poker game. She was here, alone, with my brother, drinking wine and laughing like they were in some kind of twisted romantic comedy. I drove home in a daze. When Emma returned a few hours later, I forced myself to act normal. She kissed me on the cheek, her lips tasting of red wine, and I swallowed the bitter lump in my throat. "How was poker?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She kicked off her shoes, stretching her arms like she had been through a long night of intense strategy. "Not bad. I actually won a few hands tonight." I stared at her, trying to read her expression. There wasn't a single hint of guilt. I clenched my jaw and nodded. "That's great." The lies rolled off her tongue so easily, like they had been rehearsed. That night, I lay awake in bed while she slept peacefully beside me, completely unaware that I had just seen through her deception. The next move. I spent the next week playing the role of the clueless husband. Every time she left for poker, I let her think I believed her. I kissed her goodbye, told her to have fun, and then followed her each night. It was always the same routine. She would arrive at Jake's house, where there was never a game. Just the two of them, drinking, laughing, talking in hushed tones. I never saw them do anything explicitly damning, but I knew. I felt it in my bones. One evening, I casually asked her if she had ever won any money. She laughed. "Oh, no. We don't play for money, just for fun." That was strange. Jake was competitive. He never did anything just for fun. So, I decided to test her. The next day, I bought a deck of poker cards and set them on the kitchen counter. When she came home, I casually said, "Hey, I was thinking maybe you could teach me poker, since you've been playing so much lately." For the first time, she hesitated. Her fingers twitched at her side. "Oh, I mean, I don't really know how to play that well. Jake's the expert. You've been playing for months now. You must have learned something." She bit her lip, searching for a way out. "It's just a casual thing, babe. I don't even remember most of the rules. We just play and talk, you know." There it was. We just play and talk. No mention of the other players. No mention of any real game. I nodded, pretending to accept her excuse, but inside, I was boiling. A second opinion. I needed someone else to confirm what I was already beginning to accept. That weekend, I called my best friend, Ryan. He had known me since college and had never been one to sugarcoat things. We met at a bar downtown, and as soon as he saw my face, he knew something was wrong. "What's up, man?" he asked, setting his beer down. I took a deep breath. "I think Emma is cheating on me." Ryan's eyes widened. "What? With who?" I swallowed hard. "Jake." For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then he let out a slow, low whistle. "Shit." I nodded. "Yeah, you got proof." "Not exactly, but I've followed her a few times. She goes to his place every night. Says it's for poker, but there's never anyone else there. Just them, drinking, laughing." Ryan exhaled, rubbing his jaw. "Damn, man. That's messed up." I need proof, I said. Real proof. Ryan leaned back, thinking. All right. Have you checked her phone? Yeah. But their texts are too clean. Too normal. Like they knew someone might look. Ryan nodded. Smart. Sneaky. If something's going on, they won't leave a trail there. I took another sip of my drink. I was thinking about setting up a camera near Jake's front door, just to see if she's really going there every night. Ryan hesitated, then shrugged. I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. If it were me, I'd want to know for sure, too. That night, I ordered a small, motion-activated security camera. Nothing illegal. Just something I could mount near Jake's house, somewhere out of sight. If she was lying to me, if they were lying to me, I was going to catch them. And when I did, there would be no way out. The next day, I left work early, telling Emma I had a late meeting. Instead, I drove to Jake's house, parking 2 streets over. My heart pounded as I approached on foot, scanning the area for a good hiding spot. There was an old oak tree across the street, its thick branches casting a shadow over the sidewalk. Perfect. I pulled the small, motion-activated security camera from my jacket pocket, quickly securing it between the tree's bark. From this angle, I'd be able to see anyone coming and going from Jake's house. It wasn't illegal. I wasn't recording inside his house, just proof that Emma was lying. Satisfied, I walked back to my car, my stomach twisting with a mixture of anticipation and dread. That night, I pretended everything was normal. I kissed Emma goodbye as she left, forcing a smile as she grabbed her purse. Good luck at poker, I said casually. She smirked. Yeah. Maybe tonight I'll actually win. Liar. As soon as she was out of sight, I rushed to my laptop, pulling up the live feed from the camera. It was perfect. I had a clear shot of Jake's front door, his driveway, and the street leading up to his house. I watched as Emma arrived, parking in the same spot she always did. The timestamp read 8:06 p.m. Jake opened the door almost immediately, like he had been waiting for her. She stepped inside. No one else followed. I clenched my fists, waiting for the truth. I kept the feed open, my eyes glued to the screen. An hour passed, then another. The front door never opened again. I had my answer. There was no poker game. There never had been. I didn't sleep that night. I tossed and turned, my mind replaying every lie Emma had told me over the past few months. The way she had laughed off my suspicions, the way she had kissed me before walking out the door to see him. The rage inside me simmered, bubbling just beneath the surface. I wanted to confront them right then and there, but I wasn't ready yet. Not until I had enough to destroy every excuse they could come up with. The final nail in the coffin. The next morning, I went through the footage from the past week. Every night, Emma arrived at exactly the same time. Every night, Jake greeted her at the door. I checked my phone, scrolling back through her messages. Emma, stuck at work late. Exhausted. Just gonna head to bed early tonight. The timestamp? 9:30 p.m. Meanwhile, on my camera, she had left Jake's house 10 minutes ago. More lies. I spent the rest of the day at work in a daze, my mind racing. How long had this been going on? Had it started as something innocent and escalated? Or had they been playing me from the beginning? I didn't know, but I was going to find out. That night, I followed her again. But this time, I wasn't staying outside. The confrontation. I parked 2 houses down, turning off my headlights as Emma pulled into Jake's driveway. I watched as she knocked, her body language relaxed. Comfortable. She was too comfortable. As soon as she stepped inside, I got out of my car. My pulse pounded in my ears. My fists clenched so tightly my nails dug into my palms. I didn't bother knocking. I turned the handle, unlocked. The moment I stepped inside, I knew. The living room was dimly lit. A bottle of red wine sitting half empty on the coffee table. Music played softly in the background. Some slow, intimate jazz. No poker table. No cards. No other friends. Then I heard it. Laughter. Her laughter. I followed the sound down the hall, my footsteps silent against the hardwood floor. The bedroom door was cracked open just enough for me to see inside. What I saw made my stomach drop. Emma sat on the edge of Jake's bed, one leg tucked beneath her. She was barefoot, her heels kicked off beside her. Jake was beside her, holding her wrist, rubbing his thumb gently over her palm. It wasn't anything outright damning, but it was intimate. The kind of touch you don't share with your brother's wife. She was smiling at him, her expression softer than it had been with me in months. And then he leaned in. I pushed the door open. Having fun. The words came out sharper than I intended. Emma and Jake both jumped, her eyes widening in shock, his face instantly draining of color. Daniel? She stammered, scrambling to stand up. What are you? What am I doing here? I cut her off, stepping further into the room. I should be asking you that. Jake cleared his throat, forcing a nervous chuckle. Hey, man, this isn't what it looks like. I let out a humorless laugh. Oh, really? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like what I thought it was. Emma stepped forward, reaching for me. Daniel, please, just let me explain. I stepped back. Explain what? That you've been lying to me for months? That you've been sneaking off every night to be with him? Her mouth opened and closed, her face twisting in panic. It's not like that. Jake ran a hand through his hair, avoiding my gaze. Look. Nothing ever happened. I scoffed. Right? Just drinking wine and playing poker, right? Silence. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm inside me. How long? Emma looked at the floor. How long, Emma? I repeated, my voice deadly calm. She hesitated. Then, in a barely audible whisper, 6 months. I felt like the air had been punched out of my lungs. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of sneaking around behind my back. I clenched my jaw, shoving my hands into my pockets to keep from doing something I'd regret. You know what? It doesn't even matter anymore. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Daniel, please. I turned and walked away, ignoring her pleas. I was done. I didn't need any more explanations, any more excuses. I had seen enough. Jake didn't say a word as I walked past him. He knew. He knew exactly what he had done. I didn't stop until I was outside, breathing in the crisp night air. My hands shook, my chest tight, but for the first time in weeks, I knew. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. I had been right all along. And now? I was done playing games. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. The streetlights passed in a blur, my mind racing as I tried to process everything. 6 months. 6 months of my wife lying to me, of my brother betraying me, and I had just walked away. The truth was, I hadn't even known what to do in that moment. I had spent weeks, maybe even months, suspecting something was off, but seeing it with my own eyes, hearing her whisper the words out loud, it had made everything real in a way I wasn't prepared for. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked different. It wasn't home anymore. It was just a place where I had been made a fool. I stepped inside, shutting the door behind me, feeling the weight of it all crash down at once. The walls seemed to close in on me. Every picture of Emma and me, every framed memory, felt like a cruel joke. I ripped one off the wall, staring at our smiling faces on our honeymoon in Hawaii. I had been so happy, so blind. With a sudden burst of anger, I threw the frame against the floor, watching the glass shatter into 1,000 tiny pieces. I wasn't going to be that guy. The guy who forgave. The guy who let things slide. I was done. The fallout. Emma came home an hour later. I was sitting at the kitchen table, a single lamp illuminating the space. Her footsteps were hesitant, cautious, like she knew the moment she crossed the threshold, her life would never be the same. She set her purse down and looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Daniel. I held up a hand. Don't. She swallowed hard. Please, can we just talk? I let out a bitter laugh. Talk? Like how you've been talking to him every night? Like how you've been lying to my face for months? She flinched. I never wanted to hurt you. I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. But you did. Tears welled in her eyes. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. My hands clenched at my sides. Then how was it supposed to happen, Emma? Were you just going to keep sneaking off every night? Were you ever going to tell me the truth? She didn't answer. I nodded slowly, the final confirmation I needed. I'm done, I said. Her head snapped up. Wait, what? I said I'm done. I want a divorce. The word divorce hung in the air between us, heavy and undeniable. She rushed toward me, grabbing my hands. Daniel, please. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I yanked my hands away like her touch burned. Fix what, Emma? The fact that you've been cheating on me with my own brother. She shook her head desperately. It wasn't like that. We never. Don't lie to me again. I snapped, slamming my fist against the table. She jumped, startled. I don't care what did or didn't happen. I care that you lied. I care that you betrayed me. I care that you chose him over me every single night. Her shoulders shook as she sobbed. I still love you. I felt nothing. Not anger. Not pain. Just emptiness. No. Emma, I said, my voice quiet. You love yourself. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. She covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Daniel, please. I can't lose you. But she already had. I stepped past her, grabbing my car keys. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. I'll have a lawyer contact you. She collapsed onto the chair, her sobs breaking through the silence. But I didn't turn back. I didn't comfort her. I didn't care anymore. Because for the first time in months, I knew my worth. Facing Jake. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I went to Jake's house. He opened the door, his face still puffy from sleep. The second he saw me, he tensed. Daniel. I didn't let him finish. My fist connected with his jaw before he could speak another word. He stumbled backward, clutching his face. What the hell, man? I stepped inside, slamming the door behind me. I should beat the crap out of you, I growled. But you're not even worth it. He wiped blood from his lip. Look, I know I messed up. Messed up? I laughed, shaking my head. Jake, you didn't just mess up. You betrayed your own brother. He exhaled, leaning against the wall. It wasn't supposed to happen. That's what Emma said. I scoffed. You two rehearsed that line or something? He ran a hand through his hair. I didn't mean for things to go this far, okay? We started talking. She was lonely. I was lonely. Don't. My voice was ice. Don't give me that bullshit. He swallowed hard. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I said, stepping closer. You hurt me. And for what? A few months of sneaking around? Was it worth it, Jake? He didn't answer. I hope it was. I continued. Because you just lost your brother. For good. Jake's face fell. Daniel, come on. No, I turned toward the door. You made your choice. Now live with it. And with that, I walked out. The aftermath. The divorce was fast. Emma didn't fight it. Maybe she knew she had no right to. Jake tried to reach out a few times, but I ignored him. I blocked his number, cut him out completely. As for our family, well, once they found out what had happened, no one took Jake's side. He was ostracized. His actions were unforgivable. Emma moved out of the house within a month. I sold it not long after. Too many memories. Too many ghosts. And me? I moved on. It wasn't easy. Some nights, I lay awake wondering how I hadn't seen the signs sooner. But then I reminded myself, this wasn't my fault. They had made their choices. And I had made mine. To walk away. To start over. To never let anyone treat me like a fool again. The final hand. A year later, I found myself sitting at a real poker table in Vegas. I had taken a spontaneous trip with some friends, deciding to do something for myself for once. As the dealer shuffled the deck, I smirked. Life, I realized, was a lot like poker. Sometimes you get a bad hand. Sometimes you play along, hoping things will turn around. But other times, the best move you can make is to fold and walk away. And that's exactly what I did. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking Reddit cheating stories happening around you.